Has one of your players recently contracted
the plague
and now they can't make it to the game? Maybe two players? Well, that's a problem. We're going to have to fix it with Mimic Fight Club. Hey there, Goblins. I'm Robert. This is Goblin Salvage Rights, and today we're talking about Mimic Fight Club. It's a tool Erik and I use to create and balance all of our combat encounters. Now, sometimes I'll simply just cancel the game. That's perfectly fine. But if it happens too often, then games just fizzle out and die. That's how I normally lose my campaigns. So sometimes you just have to run for two people at a table. And I really don't like letting other players play other people's PCs, especially in my deadly encounters. So all that's left is just adjusting down. Let's throw Mimic Fight Club into our browser and see what we're working with. Side note, the URL is obnoxious. I just end up Googling it and then bookmarking it later. As you can see here, you can select your drop-down filters by party size, party level, monster levels, monster types, etc. Now, let's say my players were in a 5-room dungeon and they were just about done, about to have a moderate encounter with a group of kobolds. I'm going to build the encounter for a full party of 4, and then we're going to ratchet it down to 2 players just so I can show you how everything works. I'm going to type kobolds into the search field, ensuring I spell it right because this website is painfully literal. Since I'm a non-discriminatory DM, I'm just going to pick one of each and see what happens. You add creatures to the roster by selecting the green shield icon in the center. The shield with a slash through it adds a weak version, and the plus sign adds an elite version. You can see that I made a severe encounter, and it's almost tipping into extreme. I want it to be challenging, but not punishing. Let's take the Kobold Dragon Mage and turn it down to weak. Since we're all still at a severe rating, I'm going to make the Kobold Scout weaker. We're still at a severe rating, so I'm going to make the Tunnel Runner weaker, and we have just hit the high end of moderate difficulty. Our total XP budget is 110 experience points, and I am a happy DM. A cool thing here, if you click any of the links on these monster entries, you'll be redirected to the corresponding entry in the Archives of Nethi's website. I'm not going to dive too deeply into archives, but as you can see, there are elite, normal, and weak versions of the selected creature. All of the normal stats will be in white, but if you selected a weak or severe, you'll see all the stat and ability changes now highlighted in bright red. I now have everything I need to run my encounter for 4 players. If you're finding this useful, maybe consider a little subscribe, a little likey. I now have everything I need to run my level 1 kobold encounter for a party of 4. But now half of my party has
the plague.
First, I come back to the top and reduce my party size from 4 players to 2. And now I can see my encounter balance is completely ruined. Yay! I've had to do this one too many times. Anyway. So the first thing I'm going to do, because I want to keep all of my kobolds intact, is weaken them. At this point, we have to begin removing and adding lower level monsters. I really like the idea of this kobold caster being the leader, so we're going to try and keep it. One of the useful features is that you can reduce the number of enemies to 0 without removing them from the roster. As you can see, I've been whittled down to a weak kobold dragon mage and a weak kobold warrior for 2 level 1 player characters. Now, this was not optimal, but on the upside, I was able to recalibrate this entire encounter in a matter of minutes, and that's all thanks to Mimic Fight Club. Obviously, this isn't sponsored by anyone. I don't think Mimic Fight Club even makes any money to begin with, but it's an incredibly useful tool that Erik and I rely on all the time. Pathfinder 1st Edition and 5th Edition D&D also have similar tools. I think they're called Goblin Fight Club and Kobold Fight Club, respectively. Respectively. Thanks so much for tuning in, Goblins, and remember, next time, keep it weird.
Thanks so much. Next time, keep it weird, Goblins. Remember, Goblins, keep it weird.
Thanks so much for tuning in, Goblins. Really appreciate you. I'll catch you next time. And remember, keep it weird.